Well, howdy, folks. Looks like we're going to try to get this up and running. See if I can get the light fixed. How y'all doing? There's a little bit better. Hopefully that's going to work. Okay, we're going to settle down. I'm going to open the chat here so I can see your questions. Hey, wow. Usura, thank you. That's really, really cool. I appreciate that. Not even a question yet, right? Okay. Man, folks, if you don't know what's going on, Usura went and made a comment, a super chat. Normally you can ask a question if you want, or if you just want to be supportive. Hey, thank you very much. That is truly, truly appreciated. Let's get right into it because this was, it's been a weird couple of days, right? And shoot, now I'm all blown out. Hold on a second. How do you feel overall the last couple of days has gone? Because I'm tripping out. It was tough, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me the other night to kind of get my thoughts together about the Kareem Hunt thing, and it did end up being an influential thing. I thought you saw what you saw from Spencer Ware today, specifically because of that, and that's a good thing as well. Again, if you're watching live, hit the question marks at the beginning of your question. If you're watching on replay, you don't have to. Just leave your comment in the questions, and we'll all try to answer them, whether it's me or one of the regulars on the channel. So give that a shot. And I know I missed one already. I saw it come by, but man, sometimes these things get going so quickly. You're sure? Again, thank you. That's super kind of you. Top of the thing before we even get to the questions. This team looked sluggish to me. This is man, this was something that affected the entire team. And cheers to you. Tonight it's Upslope Spruce Tip IPA. They just came out and they were really sluggish. I don't know if it's the whole debacle. I mean, it's Friday night. You're trying to get your plan together. And the Hunt thing happens. That's hard to get a hold of. It's hard to stay focused. And I think we saw that on the field today. I have my notes up here too. And there's a bunch of things. And I think it all kind of leads back to that. When you're paying attention, trying to prepare, you're going down your path, and honestly, you're in your routine that NFL teams live and die by, really. And then something kind of throws it all out of whack. That's difficult. So I thought that showed up on the field, and I thought that is the reason you saw what you saw from them today. Bottom line, they persevered and got through it, and were able to get the win for a number of different reasons, and we'll talk about really all of them on both sides of the ball. I'm at a loss for the defense. I don't know what's really going on, but somewhere in there is a defense that can play solidly. I don't know where it is. I don't know how to find it, but it's in there somewhere. I'm at a loss, and I think they are too. Is the problem? They seem to identify that they need to do that. That they need to get that figured out, and all hopes are pinned on Eric Berry right now. And that's fair. Eric is a unique player, and he has that kind of impact, and I think he can help them. But you're absolutely right. Saying that they barely pulled it out is exactly right. Robbie, thanks. I appreciate that. Dan Bransletter, again, good to see you back. These games are always competitive. You were absolutely right. And I overestimated, then I underestimated, and I should have just taken the median on all of them. But my prediction today on Chiefs Digest was kind of all out of whack. But let's start with it. Let's start with the top, because I think the biggest thing is on the positive side. The biggest takeaway from this game on the positive side is that Travis Kelce bounced back. Did not play particularly well against the Rams. Had a couple of drops. Didn't look like himself. And clearly was ready to step up today in a big way. Oh, my Lord. Somebody else threw something out there. Bubba, thank you for defense position. I don't know if you're older than me or not, Bubba Bug, but hey, they should be taking all applications right now to play on this defense. Even their stars today had fits and starts. I thought Chris showed me a few things that I was a little concerned about. Bubba Bug, thank you again. Donations, I didn't expect those, but thank you. I appreciate the support. This is a tough thing to be doing. It takes time away from the family and everything else. And I appreciate that you guys recognize that. And thank you for your contribution. This is, man, we'll talk about the defense later. Let's stay on the positive for right now. They made it through. They pushed through. They got through their game plan. They didn't fold at the end. When a determined opponent, and like we said, a team that's always in there. They're the one team that they got the win against them last season. The Raiders played them tough. John knows what he's doing. John Gruden is a quality coach that's been run down quite a bit because of his personnel decision making. Honestly, this whole thing in Oakland reminds me of Andy when he was doing the personnel in Philly. I think it tarnishes his reputation as an offensive play caller and as a coach because he's not a good personnel guy. But we'll see. I'm concerned, and we'll get to that. But Travis showed up, got his yardage, got his touchdowns. I think the biggest thing for me is that he took that lick. Clearly, I think he's going to have some sore ribs. I don't think it's anything to the extent that Hitchens had a couple weeks ago that caused him to miss time. So I'm not expecting that. I'm going to talk to Matt Derek here. We record the podcast in about an hour. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be on Locked On Chiefs, and we'll talk with Matt and see how Travis is feeling. But I have a feeling that he's not going to be impaired for long. So don't be too worried about that. But it's a thing that to take that hit and keep coming back. And I thought he continued that. That's perseverance in a way that is not just about trying to focus about clearly something that's distracting you from your goal, but that's physical concentration. That's ignoring pain. That's powering through. And that's what this team needs. That's toughness on the offensive side. And Jason Roberts, you're right. 40 plus points. Yeah, but sluggish. There's, by my count, and we'll move on to the negative. Pat Mahomes played a decent game. There's at least 3 passes that were interceptable. There's another probably 6 by my count, according to my notes, and I'll have to go back and look at those, and Seth will probably correct me anyway. Another 6 that were so far off target, they looked bad. I'm watching his feet, and I don't see the same bounce. I don't see him setting his platform. I don't like his base the last 2 games. And yes, he's been under pressure, but even when he's trying to get rid of the ball, I feel like he's slipping on some of the fundamentals a little bit. So that's something to be concerned about. But you're right. Take the 40 points on a bad day and roll with it. Unfortunately, they had to have the 40 points. I know a lot of folks are already starting to talk about the defense, and we're going to have to. Golden Pater, it's a definite possibility that they are going to have to move on. And there are some guys coming free in the coaching carousel that I think are going to be decent options. I just don't think that Andy's going to pull the trigger. I mean, we'll see how it goes down the stretch, but I just don't see it right now. I felt like the defense's overall problem today was a lack of intensity. When you see guys getting, when you see Steven Nelson giving up catches because he gets pushed off on, that's not normal. He's usually somebody's hip pocket, and he's usually really aggressive about it. And I don't think that that's typical of his play or the defense's play. And I noted on Twitter, and I'm sorry I didn't put more out on Twitter because I just typing, is a challenge for me. So doing it while watching a football game is very difficult, and usually ends up me saying something terrible or just complete gibberish. So I thought the inside linebackers looked particularly passive in the way they were attacking the ball, knowing that, like I said in the game plan, there's only 2 ways this offense was going to move the ball. It was either going to be with the running game or with Cook. I mean, it's not hard to figure out when you see what they've been successful at in the past. Yet both the inside linebackers, both the starters, I thought were very passive in attacking the line of scrimmage on those runs, waiting for the carrier to come to them, not trying to commit. I mean, especially Reggie Ragland, who's supposed to be a downhill thumper and is my guy. By all means, my guy. I'm disappointed. This is not the player that I saw at Alabama. This is not the player that even played last season. He's taken a step back, and I cannot tell you why. But that's going to be one of my big pushes this offseason, is to get some information about why. And we'll see what happens with the coaching staff, and that may change it and take care of it itself too. I see a lot of you talking about Hunt, and I don't blame you. It's clearly a big deal Oh my Lord, you guys are killing me with these donations. Shrimp Goat. Thank you. That's incredible. Way over the top. I mean, thank you. That's dang. All right. Everybody give Shrimp Goat and Usura and Bubba, give them high fives, will you? Because making contribution to this channel is really beyond very cool. I didn't expect that. Sorry, I'm a little flustered. Where was I? The inside linebackers. Passive, sluggish, inconsequential, unable to stop the run. And again, when you're talking about coming downhill into a gap that you're responsible for, that is basic inside linebacker run protection 101. Know your gap, fill it. I don't know. I wish I could tell you, but it's going to tick them off. It's going to keep them having games like this where a vastly inferior opponent is able to put up so many points that Pat and the offense have to go to 40 plus at this point. That's difficult. And that's honestly, that's something to be concerned about longer term because it's something that can bite them, especially in the playoffs. Try to get to your questions. I have a ton of notes here. Talked about Pat. Chris Jones got his sack. I think that's 8 in a row, which is tied the franchise record. And I believe the NFL record's only 2 more. So Chris Jones is still on a roll. D Ford got his plays in. I wanted to see both of them attack more consistently, but they both put out. So, hey, I cannot blame them for their efforts. I thought Justin Houston set the edge really well, although he pushed the pocket. I don't think he got many shots on Carr, but that is what it is. Man, and I hear you. I know you guys want to talk about Hunt, but let's focus on the future. And we'll start right there. That's a good one. Jeremy Olson. Thoughts on Mitch's return? Mitch looked a little rusty. He got a couple of calls, one of which I don't think was right. But I thought Mitch came out and he moved fairly well. He looked a little frenetic sometimes in his calls, double, triple checking himself after he had made them. So clearly a little bit of rust, but I thought overall it was good. He's got to get back in the flow of things. I thought he played a little high just because he's out of practice. He's got to get back, get his leverage, get back down. But that'll come. I have no issues or worries about Mitch Morse other than his injury situation and if he were to get concussed again this season. Is the money paid for Eric Berry worth it? Yes. Yes. Eric Berry's going to show back up when you need him the most. And honestly, this defensive performance today showed you where you need him the most. Had a couple conversations with people online when I could about Lucas versus Murray. And really, they just don't have faith in Lucas to be in the right position. You're absolutely right. Those of you that make the argument that Murray misses tackles and he's not physical enough. I will take the point that he was up in Cook's grill early and aggressively. I found that as a good sign. But I think more so than anything else, he's in the right position and he's got the defense down at least where he's supposed to be. Does he get beat physically? Yes. But he knows where he's supposed to be. And I don't think they can say that about Lucas. And I think that's why you're seeing the lag in Lucas getting playing time. That will come. But you got to remember, he was thrown in at the end of training camp, a long way to go for him to be as sound in this defense as a guy who's been in it for 3 years. Was Mahomes affected by the Kareem Hunt release? He's a guy in your locker room, a guy that you go onto the field with and fight with every week. Everybody was affected. I know that they have a friendship, but honestly, the quarterback has a friendship with a lot of guys. I don't know Patrick at all. Never spoken to him. I can't tell you whether it was something that bothered him or not. I think it was a distraction for everybody. And I think we should talk about Pat because, again, you guys are killing me. Seriously, Bubba, again? And happy holidays to you too. I appreciate that. Wow, that's above and beyond. Uncalled for, but appreciated. Merry Christmas to you and all of your happy holidays. And I'll keep churning these out specifically for you guys. Thank you for the contributions. Pat, I think he's going to bounce back. I want to see him get his platform a little bit better because I'm a little worried about it at this point. And I think he's going to be okay at the end of the day. So will he throw records? Yeah. I mean, there are records that are going to fall. He might hit 5,050. I mean, it's seriously within the realm of possibility. It's crazy to say that for a first-year starter. And I will say this too, this footwork stuff that I'm talking about, and these underthrown passes, overthrown passes, being rattled a little bit. You got to remember that for all intents and purposes, he's a rookie still. So like he has a rookie wall as well. And I think maybe he's starting to hit that a little bit. He got beat around a little bit today too. And, I think those things add up. He was really well protected early in the year. Now he's taking some hits. Obviously, the refs have slacked off on what they call to the point where they're almost not calling enough again, which I can only imagine is the whole thing back and forth. But he's going to be all right. I think he is going to hit those targets. They have a quarter of the season left, and man, I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, sorry, Jacob. I just stepped over your comment. Sorry about that. Ron Parker is not the player that he once was. And I've been a Ron Parker guy too. I like his athleticism. He has slowed down. And he doesn't have the physicality that he once did. When he first showed up in Kansas City, I mean, they used to rush him off the edge and everything, and that's just not who he is anymore. So we're going to have to see how that comes, but getting Eric Berry back, he is the physical force there. I think that locks it down. It lets Ron roam the back more, and I think that's what Ron has to do at this point. Definitely going to be a position of interest over the offseason completely. So, I mean, we'll just keep crossing our fingers, really, because there's nothing else to do. Oh yeah, McCarthy. Thanks, Aaron. I didn't mention that, but I did see that just before we came on that Mike McCarthy got fired. I don't think Mike McCarthy has enough ties to Andy Reid to do anything either, as a consultant this season or next season. And you never know, but I know there's talk about Kingsbury as well. For the playoffs, man, the Pit's better than they were when the Chiefs beat them. And if the Chiefs don't give up those turnovers, I think they beat the Rams. So despite these last couple of weeks of not firing on all cylinders, especially the defense, I think they're still in a really good position to make that deep run. And like I said just the other day on the pregame video, I expect them to push and make the AFC Championship. Right now, it looks like it's going to be the Patriots again. Who knows? It's so tight for teams that usually are not tight. It's pretty incredible. Oh, wow, you guys are really kidding me. The super chat thing this is not what I expected. Thank you again, Shrimp Goat. Thank you, Bubba. Wow, I'm shocked. I'm flattered that you guys enjoy the channel enough to just do that. That's kind of crazy. But honestly, too, the whole point is that you should get your question answered too. So ask a question, will you? We have to get better against the run, because what happens is if you have a day like today where the offense is not able to hit on all their possessions, where they do have to punt the ball, where they do have 3 and outs, or they don't get a 4, and we need to talk about the 4th down. When you get in those situations, you're going to get teams that are just going to run on them, just like Tennessee did last season, because it's a way to keep Pat Mahomes from having the football. I mean, and it's even more so going to be teams trying to do that because they're way more scared of Patrick than they were of Alex. So that's definitely something that's coming. Should the Chiefs play from behind in the playoffs, you're going to see them try to play ball control. That said, thank you, Andy Reid, because I was upset about the way that he handled the last couple of minutes and not running the ball against the Rams. And they clearly learned that lesson today. They were focused. They gave the ball. They did what they had to do to move the chains, but they ate as much clock as they could. Still 2 minutes, I was a bit concerned, but a 10-point deficit, that's pretty solid. So I thought that was a step forward. So give Andy Reid some credit. I know folks are a little frustrated with him as well. Give him some credit, because he did pick up from that. So, yes, Gary Holland, they have to get better. The run is something that will be important. And it's about aggression. It's about personal accountability for your gap. Go get it. And I still feel like the whole thing about the run defense is just a little bit of coaching being not wanting to let anybody be over aggressive to get them in a bad position to give up something big in the pass game. Dorian O'Daniel had he got blocked by a tight end once. It was pretty ridiculous today. Dorian's got to get better about taking on blocks. They're going to rely on him, especially because he has to be in there against the pass. They're going to try to attack him with the run. He's got to improve there. Time frame for Barry's return. I still think it's the Chargers game. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the way it feels to me. Like, you don't want to expose him too early. You don't want to get him hurt, but you got to knock the rust off. You want to have him for that divisional game. I still expect the Chiefs will be one of the top 2 seeds, and they will not play wild card weekend. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I actually am going to be at a beer festival division weekend. So hopefully they get the late game on Sunday and everything will be fine, but we'll see what happens with that too. Questions. Keep firing your questions. I'm catching up here, guys. Yeah, shrimp and goat. Wow. Bring back West. I think that might be in the cards. I was a little disappointed because I wanted to see Darrell Williams get some touches today, but Spencer Ware is not Kareem Hunt, and he showed that today. He just isn't the same player. So, okay, you got some good snaps from Williams in third downs, like I was talking about the other day. Sorry, getting dry here. Both catching the ball and running the ball, and had a little bit of back and forth. And I thought that was great. It allows you to not be one-dimensional or rely on any one guy. And I think you heard on the broadcast that Andy let the broadcasters know that they want to get to the point where it's a committee, and that's okay because everybody has slightly different strengths. I thought what Spencer lacks in some of the all-out speed and acceleration that you see from Kareem Hunt, what he lacks there and is maybe not as good, he makes up for in what he can do, especially with the Wildcat package. And you saw him do it again. I think it was Tom from KCTV that put it out. It's been 12 weeks since they ran that play. And Spencer ran it and actually got it done this time. I just think it's fun to see a running back line up in that spot and motion the quarterback out of the formation, but that's me. Long story short, Spencer can do that. He was very successful doing that at LSU. And here's the rub. Darrell Williams was successful doing that at LSU as well. So not only does Darrell give you a little more power, a little more acceleration than Spencer, but Spencer's obviously got the attitude running and he's got the experience in the offense. But if it comes down to, hey, I want to use this Wildcat, we want to use misdirection because it is a large part of Andy's scheme, they still have that. If Spencer gets dinged up, they can let Darrell do that. They got to practice him because he didn't get any reps in practice this week because of the whole Hunt thing. I expect they're going to spread out practice reps this next week and try to pepper those guys in a little bit more. I was encouraged by Damian Williams. I thought he played very, very well for his first real action. I think Spencer gave you what he can give you. Spencer is one of those guys, I think he'll grind you down and he will eventually pop one. He can have big plays as well. He's just not Kareem Hunt. Nothing against him. That's just the way that it is. So I think we'll get there. Chris Greer, I'd love to see Jamal Charles back. I would too. I just don't want to see him on the field because he's either going to hurt himself again or he's going to cost the team something. But I would like to see him come back. I have a feeling they'll do like, the one-day signing and he'll retire as a Chief. I think he will definitely retire as a Chief. I just feel terrible because I think he was a season, maybe 2 away from being a Hall of Famer. I think he's right on the edge. And depending on who the voters are in a couple years, I think he has a shot. I mean, when you still have the best yards per carry over a career, I think that says something. And I think Jamal deserves a shot at it. In fact, we're going to talk to Therese here in the next couple of weeks. I know you guys are missing him. I am too. He's so unique. He said we're going to try to hook up here in the next couple of weeks. We'll talk to him. It'll probably be a phone interview, but I'll ask him about what he thinks about Jamal's legacy. And Therese is a Hall of Fame voter, so you never know. Here we go. More questions. 12 penalties today. Dan, you're absolutely right. And it seemed like it came on at the end too. I thought they were doing okay with penalties in the first half, and then they just kind of all hell broke loose. So I like, and I will say this, the guy that stands out to me, I like that Cam Irving is trying to be nastier. He's trying to be more aggressive. He's trying to exert himself in this offense because he finally found a role that he's good at. And I told you from day one, guards what he can do because he's a tweener. But he's over the top sometimes, and these silly penalties are going to bite them at some point. He's got to get that part under control. But I think what we found is he's allowed Eric Fisher to settle down, and Eric Fisher is always better when he's got a consistent guy on his right side, and I think that's a plus as well. So look for that. But yeah, they have to get more disciplined and not shoot themselves in the foot. And part of that, I think, is preparation as well. It's not just game day. So we'll try to keep them going there. Joe Cunningham, thank you. Man, Joe, ask a question. Hopefully it's down below. I'm still scrolling. So ask your question. I will make sure that I answer it, no matter what. Where is Rusty? You're right, Serve. I didn't see that the Colts got shut out. Wow. Okay. Gary Holland, will Sutton be back next year? I don't know. I'm torn. I don't think Andy's going to let him go unless they have a complete defensive meltdown. The bar's pretty damn low right now. Sorry, I shouldn't be cussing on here. It's a family show. The bar's pretty low right now, so I don't think he can get a whole lot worse. And I think whatever he's doing, he's cleared this philosophy with Andy. So I think that they're at least in communication there, and I don't think that Andy's going to hold him personally accountable to the point that he's going to fire him. So that said, does he have a tighter relationship with Todd Bowles? Maybe. I don't know. As far as I understand, Andy hired Bob after knowing him through the league for a few years, but I don't think they had any direct contact working on the same staff or anything earlier. Todd Bowles has worked for Andy before. I don't think McDermott's going anywhere, but if he came free, I'd be ecstatic. And there's always the question of, and you guys have heard me say this before, and I'll stop, but there's always a question of, can Andy Reid's big personality coexist with a big personality in Rex Ryan? Because I think Rex Ryan would be great for this defense. Rex should never be a head coach again. Honestly, I don't think Todd Bowles should either. But they're both quality coaches, and I think Rex can be an excellent defensive coordinator. So we'll see what happens there. Do you think Pat will sustain this level of play over his career, or is this a first-year fluke like Dak and RG3? Dak and RG3 are, they're fair questions, but their games were never like this. And it was never out of the gate. I don't feel there's any reason to feel like there's going to be a letdown. Will they figure some things out about him? Sure. Will they figure how to protect when he is rolling out? They will. And I think the whole league is going in a direction. I'm going to talk a ton about this in the offseason, especially as we go through the draft process, because all my analytics are based on athleticism. And if you haven't seen any of that from me, don't worry. It's all coming. I have a pinned tweet on my Twitter account at Ryan Tracy NFL. Check that out. In fact, in a couple of weeks, at the end of the season, I always put it up for free for a couple of weeks so everybody can just grab it. But that's my athleticism matrix. And I think what that shows you is that athletics, especially in the secondary, in trying to combat these power offenses, athleticism is now becoming the bluest chip. It's great if you're a man corner and you're good at that, or if you understand zones, but you have to be an athlete because the rules are so stacked against the defense at this point that you have to be able to run down the field as well as the guy you're trying to cover. And that's really what it's going to come down to. And I don't see, because of any of that, why that would back Mahomes down. I think if anything, as they get further and further, you see them sitting on the bench talking to each other, right? Andy and Patrick. I think that's only going to get better. And I think it's going to get to the point where they don't have to confer all the time either. And that's going to help as well. And everybody has learning to do. Everybody improves from that first year into the second. And I think you're going to see that again as well, without a doubt. No Lev Bell. I outlined that the other night. Go back and watch that video for all the reasons, but I just don't think it could work in Kansas City. Scott Conklin, I don't think you need Kareem Hunt. I think it's more hassle, more headache, and more distraction than it's worth. Kareem Hunt will never be a Chief again. I don't see any way that can happen. So at this point, if you like the guy personally enough that you're concerned about his future, hopefully he can get back on track. I don't know any of these players. I don't know any of the current Chiefs players personally. I know a couple players around the league, but not any of the Chiefs. So I'm not invested personally. I'm looking at this as how this affects the team in the future. So we will see what happens. Where D. Thomas Sherman, sorry, this is from Blake Anthony. Sherman and Williams. Next season, a run committee, save money, and don't pick up anyone else. That is a fair way to look at it. Now, I believe Williams is on a 1 year. Damian, that is. And I think Sherm's on a 1 year, so we'll have to see about that. I expect a draft pick at the running back position, probably on day 3. Because I think what we've proven is that there's certain aspects to everyone's game that work, and Andy's been able to adapt to them. And I think he'll be able to do that with just about anybody. I'm really excited about Darrell Williams. And maybe I'm over the top, but a year into his career, I think he's going to be pushing for a lot of playing time as well. Smokey, I get it. I'm with you. You just got to hold on and let it roll. So I'm sorry to say that's just the way it's going to be. Sorry, backing up. Oh, wait, Aaron Morrow. Thank you, Aaron, for your contribution. Folks, this is kind of crazy. You guys are flabbergasting me. I'm not usually speechless, so well done. And thank you. Believe me, all this is going to go back into the show with more lighting, more software, better stuff. So I will use it for good, I promise. Force him to retire. I assume you're meaning, yeah, Danny's talking about firing Sutton. I get it. Veach does have his hands full with personnel, and he's going to make the decision on Bob. Who's the bigger threat, the Texans or the Patriots? Texans had a big day. I didn't get to watch it, so I can't tell you exactly what that was about. But teams that are peaking at this point in the season, the next 3 weeks, those are the ones that are scariest. And what you saw the Patriots do in their comeback is something to pay attention to as well. Derek Newson. What changes are there going to be in the defense when Barry gets back as far as different looks that Bob can throw at the opposing offenses? That's a very good question. And that's something that Bob's very, very specifically pointed at. Bob wants to confuse people, and that's the problem. I think that's why you're not seeing Lucas play as much, because you have to have safeties that understand where they're supposed to be in all these different looks, in all these different shells, and where they're actually trying to be, because Bob's trying to do a little bit of disguise and deception as well. So that's really important. You got to know everything. It's as much mental in Bob's secondary as it is physical. And I think what Eric does, Eric Berry's return not only puts him, because he knows everything about the defense, not only does it let him be the athlete that he is and the playmaker and all that, but he's an instant resource on the field to get everybody else in the right position. They can ask him questions. He will get them lined up. He's kind of like the orchestrator back there, right? That's what needs to happen. And I think you will see some changes. My real big question is how he is physically when he gets on the field, and if they're going to try to protect him and keep him in a certain role, or let him come up at the line of scrimmage, which I think is more of a risk in terms of re-injury. Just all the cuts and all the power that you have to have when you play closer to line of scrimmage. So we'll see how he is utilized, and I'll give you a better idea then. NBA just reports CJ Anderson is heading to sign with. Really? CJ Anderson, power back, bowling ball. He hurt the Chiefs sometimes when he was in Denver. I'm a little surprised by that, because I heard from people down that he was out of shape and not really viable, but maybe that's changed in the last few weeks. I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks since he was released. I could be wrong. Scott Kreider, you're absolutely right. Mahomes is like Favre in a lot of ways. Good Lord, who did it now? Shrimp Goat. Again, really? You folks are incredible. I thank you for the generosity and the support. I don't even know what else to say, but thank you. Cheers to all of you who made super chats tonight. Thank you very much. Pater, yeah, I'm with you. Kickoff rule brought the ball out to the 40. His foot was out of bounds when he contacted the ball, so instantly that makes it out of bounds. That's the only reason that they called that. So, what else? What else you guys got? Um, the screen game going to take a big hit? I don't think so. It's not going to be as easy to disguise because Spencer can run the screens. He's not as explosive as Hunt, and he's not as explosive as Williams. I think Williams is the guy you want in the screen game, but because of the way that you're going to shift downs, it may be hard to disguise that, which makes it not as effective. So, hopefully, what they see is they see a true committee form where they can pepper these guys in. So the fact that one guy is in the game versus the other doesn't give away what the possibilities are and doesn't shut down some of the aggressiveness because the screen relies on the defense being aggressive and getting upfield. So we'll see how it comes along. See what the splits are in terms of touches next week. Should we be looking at corners and safeties? Yes, for certain. In this draft, there's good defensive talent in this upcoming draft and quite a bit at corner. Safeties are a little bit iffy as far as I know. I just talked to Matt Miller a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and he seems to think that when people start declaring there might be a better safety class, but we'll see how it shakes out. What else? 40 without Hunt is a good sign. You're absolutely right. 40 without Hunt is a good sign. And it's something that can be sustained. Jason, thank you. I'm going to actually release that one so that everybody can see it because that's the link to the report about CJ Anderson. So the line did good. Yeah, a lot of chunk of that was Pat running himself, but I think Mahomes, Nathan Roth, you're right. I think Pat Mahomes is one of the clear favorites for the MVP. I'm not going to put in. Drew Brees had a bad week. He killed my fantasy team, but I can't count him out yet. So I still think it's a two-man race at that point. I think Goff has probably fallen out of the race, but I could be wrong. Man, are the Chiefs getting soft? I don't know. I'm hoping they're going to get tougher. That's what they need to do. So we'll see if it can come around or not. They've been pretty soft, especially against the run all season. Thanks for that, though, Tom. Just visiting. James, I don't know. In fact, I'll get off and I'll see if Matt has any update. In fact, shoot, Matt's online. So, folks, I got to wrap it up. We're going to go record the podcast here. But for all of you who contributed tonight from SuperChat, Shrimp Goat, Bubba, Usura, you guys are incredible. Aaron Morrow, all of you. I can't thank you enough. That's really kind, and I take that personally. Big thank you. The penalties do scare me. Jeremy Pillen, I actually talk about that if you just joined it. Go back a bit when this post here in a little bit as a regular video. It's all in there. LDT timeline is still murky. He's out of the scooter, but he hasn't started running on it that I'm aware of. So we'll try to check in and see what happens this week with LDT. I still think he might be coming back, maybe over Armani Watts, because I haven't heard about Watts making progress as much. Yeah, Blake Anthony, you're right. That cannon's still there. He's just off target with a little bit. Brian Mcgee, good Lord, folks, I'm wrapping up. Brian, ask a question so I can at least feel like I'm earning this, okay? The defense did look tired, yes. And Jason, you're right. Somebody who can run like Derek and still be able to take on the run is a really important thing that they have to find. I don't know if it's tired or a lack of intensity. I'm not sure. What happened to Hitchens? Big test. That is a great question because he is not the guy that I watched on film last year. I don't know why this happened to him, but he has fallen apart in terms of coverage, even in zone, which he was good at in Dallas. So I am totally at a loss for that as well. I wish I had a better answer for you. Hopefully we'll see EB practice some more. Andrews football. I don't think really that McCarthy's going to come in as a consultant. I don't know that there's a whole lot of mesh there with Andy. It might lead to more conflict, and I just don't think that it's going to happen. I thought maybe Kingsbury, just because of the connection and being able to get down to like the core of what he maybe thought he could do with Patrick in college, but never got the opportunity to, or something like that. But that might be too many cooks in the kitchen too. So we'll see if anything happens. What else? I just want to answer all your questions, you guys. Especially Brian Mcgee. Brian, did you ask a question? I'm scrolling. Let me get to it. Big A, you make me laugh. Why aren't they using Sherman? Because Andy's stubborn. You saw when they come out in that double tight end formation, they still just left it as one back. And they all knew he was going to run anyway. The defense was prepared. Put Sherman in there and let him smash around. I mean, good Lord, that's what he's for. So, yeah, I'm don't get me started. I want to see that too. Jason, thank you. Man, you guys are awesome. I didn't even know this was like this. But hey, I want to make sure you guys get out of it what you deserve. So, Brian, I still haven't seen a question for you. Ask one, buddy. If you got something you want to talk about, let me hit it. Anthony Hitchens overall, Michael Logan. That's a good question, man. I'm disappointed. I'm not going to count him out, but I'm still a little disappointed. I think he can still recover and maybe a second season because I think the contract really, it's kind of a loss if they cut him early. We'll have to see how that goes out, but let's see here. What's going on with Mahomes' deep ball accuracy? I think it was just a rough day for him. I don't know exactly what's going on. I want to see him set his feet a little bit more. I'm going to talk to Seth about that, who I'm sure is going to be doing a deep dive on his film. Ravens, yeah. I don't know. Lamar Jackson, the guy who couldn't be a quarterback. Watch out. Matt Bernecki, I think it was the Hunt situation. I don't think it was a bad day because of the bye week. Usually Andy's good coming off the bye week, gets those guys squared away. I think this was like they had gone all week, made their preparations. They were pretty much ready. And then Friday this hits. Like as you're about to get on a plane the next day, I mean, it's kind of last minute, just a monkey wrench thrown in. So that's what I feel like. I don't know if I get more information on the contract, I'll let you guys know. Brian. Sorry, I'm reading. What's the other podcast called? Locked On Chiefs is the podcast that I was talking about. I'm not sure, Logan, if you were asking somebody else, but fire sudden. Hey, Golden Pater, if Andy listened to me, there'd be a lot of things different going on. So don't hold your breath. He's not going to ask me. I heard about a players only meeting. Jason. Thank you. I appreciate that. The sliding bar, I didn't realize there was one. So, hey, great. Favorite IPA? I mean, I could say Pliny because, I mean, it's Pliny. But Clear AF from El Segundo is a really, really good classic West Coast IPA. And that's kind of my style. I'm not really into the hazy things. You got to ask Charlie about those. Yep. Still sleeping on the Seattle game. Oh, yeah. Especially the way they run the ball. You're going to see a ton of that. And they have a three-headed giant that they can run at you too. So, again, the run defense has to get better in the next month. Who else? Watching the game now? Oh, rock on. I need to go do that. And, folks, Matt Derek's waiting for me. I'm going to go get on that. We're going to record the podcast here as soon as I can get Chris on. We should have that out in the next hour or so. So thank you all for hanging out. Thank all of you for your contributions. It's truly appreciated. Andy Anderson, I'm glad you asked. I am going to have some merch coming. I'm trying to get with an online store that'll do it for me because, Lord, I can't manage that kind of stuff. I'm working on a design for a coffee cup. So I'll try to shirts and hats and whatever too. So you guys just let me know what you want. I'm hoping to have that done in the next month. I can't make a guarantee, but thanks for asking. I will have merch up here soon. Thank you guys. Really appreciate everything you guys do for me, and I'll keep turning this out as long as y'all want to hear from me. So have a good night. Enjoy the night game, and look for the podcast here in a couple hours.